All right, welcome in everybody. Falls Kind of Anywhere podcast. Charlie Turner here, back in the saddle with Chris DiCarlo and John Rustino. Guys, thanks so much for holding it down last week with Mr. James Beard. Definitely enjoyed watching that, listening to that interview. So, guys, man, good job last week.
He's a nice guy and great guy, and it was a good show.
Yeah, good he stories, made it easy. Man. Good stuff. Yeah, absolutely, man. I enjoyed it, guys, and
we can go on and on with him.
Absolutely, and we're happy to have another guest with us this week that we're going to definitely talk some more classic pro wrestling and some current pro wrestling with as well. He is the owner and promoter of APW, that is American Pro Wrestling. He's been that owner and promoter since 1997, and is a former professional wrestler in his own right. And he is our guest today. He is the Chief, Jay Eagle. Mr. Eagle, thank you so much for joining us today, sir. How are you?
Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely, sir. We appreciate it, man. We huge wrestling fans here on this show, of course, and we love to talk some classic wrestling. We're definitely going to get into that, hopefully, with you. Talk about your career a little bit. But I understand you guys run a show for APW mostly on Saturday nights, correct?
Yeah, every Saturday night. We do some Fridays in other buildings, but that's our regular venue.
That's awesome. And you got a show going tonight, I take it, correct?
Yeah, got one going tonight. It's fans' choice. They decide who wrestles who tonight, as we come off 2 weeks ago of all cage matches and tried to end up some feuds and start some new ones tonight, and we all wound up.
That's great. Awesome. What a great idea. And that's kind of what we thought our show, we do our show here on Saturdays because Saturday was always wrestling day. So.
That's right. Absolutely. And, Mr. Eagle, the first thing I want to talk to you about as well, as we kind of talk about your career a little bit, as I was doing some research on you here, sir, notice that you started back in the late 70s and you trained under Wahoo McDaniel. Is that correct?
No, sir. Actually, I trained under Johnny Weaver and Brute Bernard, and then I met Wahoo later on in years, and he never knew he was my hero. So it was a big experience for me. I traveled with Wahoo and Swede Hansen for years, and coming out of high school, I had all plans of having me a race car, but after I got hooked in wrestling, I never looked back.
Yeah, what was that experience like when you first got into the wrestling business? You started training for it, and you got your foot in the door. What was that initial experience like once you started the world of professional wrestling?
Well, there was a small training school in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and I went in one day and told them I was interested in getting started. This is before I'd met Wahoo or Brute Bernard. And they said, oh, yeah, so some guys was working out. I got in the ring with them, bumped around a little bit, and then they had a show that night. Well, they started right away wanting to know if I could work at night. And I said, well, look, this is my first time. They said, well, you're a natural. We'd like to get you going. And so they taught me into it. But later on, I had a wreck on my motorcycle and got a lot of road rash, so I couldn't start. Ooh. It was probably 6 more weeks before I finally got to start. And that was back in right around late 1975.
Wow. So, and I always wondered this too, like when you first got started and you were just kind of, getting your feet wet in the business there, were the opponents that you trained with or wrestled with, do they treat a new guy with a little bit of roughness to try to break them in? Like how does that process work?
No, I guess they saved that for 5 or 6 years later when I went to ICW and Bob Orton Jr. broke me in, we might say. When we locked up, he brushed my nose, and my nose was bleeding. And he was telling me all during the match, looks good, Chief, looks good. I love it. It looks real. And I'm thinking, well, it is real, my nose. So anyway, I thought it was an accident, and Pez Watley called me off to the side, and he said, that wasn't no accident. You just got initiated. So turned out good. They said I did a good job, and which I'd been wrestling for probably 5 or 6 years when I went to ICW.
Blood is a good thing in wrestling, right?
Yeah, especially when it's yours.
Right.
Yeah, in fact, Mr. Eagle, a shout out to a friend of mine, Mr. Tim Smith, retired Army vet. He's in Simpsonville, South Carolina, and I told him we were having you on today. And he's been a fan for a long, long time around South Carolina area and Mid Atlantic. And I told him you got wrestling going every Saturday night, so that's pretty cool.
Well, something about Simpsonville is, as a kid, I growed up in Simpsonville till I was in the fourth grade, and then we moved like 30 miles away to Spartanburg. My grandparents had gave my mother some land, so we built a house in Spartanburg. But yeah, a lot of history with Simpsonville. That was first grade to the fourth grade, and then we moved up here to Spartanburg, a little closer to the mountains.
Very cool.
And long time home still, Mid Atlantic territory.
Yes, absolutely. Growed up in it, and didn't know a lot about it other than the day my dad come home. He was in a hunting club, and he said, "I got somebody I want you to meet," and it was Wahoo McDaniel, and I was hooked from that moment on, which I was already hooked. But yeah, Wahoo was my hero, man. It really meant something to me to get the team with him all his last few years, and he would draw the crowds, and I'd do all the work, but it worked out for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
and
we
you,
got,
you tagged up together once, correct?
Oh, we tagged together probably for a couple of years till he finally throwed his boots in a dumpster to stay out of the ring. So I couldn't believe he done that, but he did it. He throwed his boots away to keep himself out of the ring. So, you know, somebody always want him to work, but man,
Wow.
I tell you, I miss him. My dad passed away, and he was friends with Wahoo, and I started on the road with him, and I like to say I never looked back.
Yeah, I know. The supposed then there was an eye injury with him in the AWA in '89, and that's kind of what, like he said, he retired. But I'm guessing that was a work.
That was a work. You know, he still done a lot of autograph signings and appearance and hunting good shops, and he was all into the fishing, man, and golf and fishing and wrestling. That's what the man lived for. That and his kids.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Chief, you know, when you definitely spent some time in various wrestling promotions throughout your career. You know, Georgia Championship Wrestling, the NWA, National Championship Wrestling, just to name a few. Did you have any particular opponents that you enjoyed working with, or did you have any particular opponents that you hated working with?
No, not really. I just I always was good at one thing. I could go to a show that I didn't know the promoter and didn't know the workers, and I could work with anybody. And it always gave me a big head to look at the dressing room and see all the guys standing out watching my match. So, you know, I knew I was doing something right.
Absolutely, very cool, very cool. And what you mentioned as far as you know, with wrestling today, I guess I want to jump into a little bit of today's product. And one thing that kind of, let me ask you this first and foremost before we get into that. Ric Flair is making a in-ring comeback next month at the age of, I believe, 72, if I have that correct. What are your thoughts on Flair getting back in the ring one last time?
Well, as good as Flair was, he can pull it off, you know, work the right opponent. I'm 68, and I still got people look at me and say, you still do that. But it's all I've ever done, and I get a lot of respect from the younger guys. Some of them get a little nervous because they working me, but then after they do, they realize, you know, I'm looking out for them, and if they do good, that helps me because they work for me in my promotion. And something we do different. We're not a group that runs once a month or once every other month. We run every week. And like I say, a lot of Fridays, some Sundays. I'm good friends with other promoters. Sheik Akbar out of Orangeburg, South Carolina. We trade talent, work together, and NAWA out of North Carolina. I work for them some. They send me guys, and I've always had good relations with most of the other groups.
That's
Very
cool. We
cool.
had Mr. Troy Peterson on the show from Iowa, and they have a wrestling convention there, Waterloo, Iowa, next month too.
Oh, that's good. That's a little trip for me, Ohio. I've done it a few times working for Bobby Fulton and a couple of other promoters, but we hate that trip if we can get out of it.
So, Chief, you said you still actively wrestle. I assume on a part-time basis. Are you out there weekly or?
Yeah, I'm out there weekly and usually bi-weekly. I work for me on Saturday nights, but I work for other people on Fridays or Sundays or off through the week. And like I say, I got a son. He's 31 and he wrestles. He's doing good. That's Dusty Money. And my other son was Easy Money, and he's not in the business anymore. But that was kind of a dream of mine to team up with my sons, and I've done that. And
That's
That's
awesome.
great.
when I consider quitting, I've got 30 people saying, "Don't quit. If you quit, what are we gonna do?" But I don't know how many more I got left. But I'm physically in pretty good shape. And got a bunch of grandbabies. They keep me busy, and they go to the shows. They love the business. I got two here now that lives 100 miles away. They here this weekend so they go to wrestling. But they love it, and Papa loves it, and I love to have them around. And they don't like me being a bad guy, but they love me wrestling.
Hey, start them young though, right? And they'll be addicted for life.
Well, I embarrass them when I'm a bad guy, but especially the little girls, they like, Papa, why you do that? But it's hard for me as a promoter to go to wrestling on Saturday night, insult the fans, call the ladies fat or whatever, then go to Walmart and run into that same person. So that's what I've always had to do here. So.
Wow.
Comes with the territory, right? I mean, hey,
Well, the thing about it, even people I insult, they're always respectful and just want to talk to me. And I've got one little old lady. She's one of them little ladies that's quiet and don't say nothing. But when she gets on the front row at wrestling, and you can go out in a crowd of 200 people and nobody's saying anything and tell them to shut up, and right away 99's gonna holler back at you. So
you're right.
I've always had a knack for getting the crowd going, and
Generating the heat, right?
I will pick on a few fans, but I know when to move on to another, because these old South Carolina fans, they get wound up. And,
Have you ever gotten into it with a fan, like physically?
yeah, excuse me. I was working in Lawrence, South Carolina, for a cowboy named Desperado, Paul Helms, and I had a drunk to come in the ring, and I was a heel, and he was swinging at me, and I was ducking out of his way, and he's falling down. He'd get back up and fall down again. And, the guys come to the ring and put him out of the ring and said, "We're going to call the police." I said, "No, he's just having a good time." And I didn't let him touch me, and I didn't touch him, but it was kind of comical, I've had that happen a couple of times through the years.
Wow, very very interesting. It takes some balls to do that. Jump in the ring with a pro wrestler. I mean, what are these guys thinking, right?
Well, mostly it's if there's alcohol involved, you'll have trouble. I never was crazy about bar shows, and if I'm doing my job, I'm stirring them up, and it's like I say, I'd rather work heel, but all the promoters like me working babyface, so I just do what they want me to do.
Yeah, in fact, Mr. Eagle, last week we had Mr. James Beard on, and he was telling us some great stories and out of the world class and global area there, the old Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas. And also we had Mr. Jack Lord on, who said he'd like to get back in the ring, but he's doing good on his show there with Pro Wrestling Inside and Out.
Well, I'm scared to get out of it. It might be harder to get back in it, but I've broke my Achilles tendon. Wahoo told me I'd never come back. Is Joe Namath, and some of them broke theirs, and they'd never come back to football. But I was blessed. It was probably 8 months later I made it back to the ring, and then later on in life I had 2 discs removed. That kept me out about 10 months.
Oh wow!
And then in 2021. I got a new knee on the left side, and that kept me out for about 8 months. And, I've been blessed still. I can run, jump, do anything I want to do that a 68 man can do. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I see a lot of guys where 40s is the end of their limit. When they get in their 40s, they start fading out. But
Okay.
I've never in 40 something years, I've never quit. I had to be out for injuries, but I was always right back.
That's awesome. Because we've talked about as we brought up with you with Ric Flair, and of course we've mentioned Sting, for example. Stinger is 63 years old, and he's still doing some backflips off of balconies and going through tables. He is currently a little bit banged up right now. I know he's off the show a little bit for a while because he did get injured. But when you see that, no. Well, let me ask you: do you keep up with AEW and WWE?
A little bit. I watch more AEW than anything, or mainly to see, what their angles are, what they're doing, who they're bringing in. But I'm not a big WWE fan. But on Monday night, it's normal. My TV is set to go to WWE, and I just, if I'm in the house or something, I watch it. I got a grandbaby that stays here a lot, and he likes wrestling, so it's about the only way I can get him to sit down and watch TV.
Yeah, in
What
fact,
did what did
Mr.
you?
Eagle, we got a NWA.
I'm sorry, Chris. I just wanted to ask real quick because it created a lot of controversy. I just wanted to ask this real quick. The MJF promo where he went off on Tony Khan and he's dropping f bombs in the ring and all that stuff. Some people are thinking that's a work, and I thought it was at first. I'm not so sure anymore. Did you see that promo and what did you think of that?
Well, this is pro wrestling. If you can make some people believe it, or let me rephrase that. You can. Some people are believers, and some people will never be believers. But you got to understand, we're out there to entertain, and as far as all the f bombs, I wrestled at college shows or college bars where they had a lot of cussing, but that was odd to me. Especially I carried my wife, and she's like, "Oh, I ain't going back there." But it's just college bars. You just have to get a little more rowdy for them than you do a regular family crowd.
I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead. You're going to ask a question there.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna mention real quick, Mr. Eagle. Do you watch and know we have the NWA pay per view tonight as well? They got the belt from Trevor Murdoch onto Matt Cardona. My opinion, always a historic and NWA fan. To me, I don't think he deserved it. I don't know why they did that. But now he can't wrestle tonight and defend the title, so I don't know what they're gonna do.
I tell a lot of guys that work for me, they go to work out and they do stuff that they'll get hurt on Tuesday or Wednesday night working out and can't work on Saturday. Just always be aware of what you're doing because, the human body ain't made for all that banging and it's not for everybody. But people think I'm strange because I do it, but I can't imagine doing anything else.
Yeah, and I've
Yeah.
even, when you hear from, like, for example, The Rock is definitely like a part-time wrestler. He maybe shows up once a year now at the most. And
Well,
when he got back in the ring a few years back with John Cena, for the great shape that The Rock was in, the cardio wasn't quite there. I heard
right.
that's a big factor.
You mentioned NWA. Last Saturday night, George South worked for me, and he works for the NWA now. And he was telling me he thought he might not go back because he said when he got there, he had 4 different agents that was telling him what to do, and he didn't know what to do. And he said it was a little different. And uh, what's the guy's name? Corgan that runs it. He said
Billy Corgan, yeah.
yeah, he said he actually really didn't know nothing about wrestling, and now they got Austin Idol down there calling some shots, and I don't know. George said he may not go back, but I don't know. I thought he was blessed to go down there, but then when again they really don't have anything but YouTube, which we got that. I mean, we all our shows are live every Saturday night at 8:00, and you can usually find it on my Facebook page or on YouTube. But it's you're dealing with a lot of different promoters and a lot of different wrestlers, and everybody's different. They do things different.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, John,
absolutely.
you have a question for Mr. Eagle this week?
I just want to say to guy, every time we get these legends coming on, it just wants me to say thank you, because I say this every time, guys. You know this. These men here were my childhood. I grew up watching every one of them, and my biggest thing is just to say thank you. Thank you for all the bumps and bruises and all the things you took, and it really made our lives happy. Even if things weren't going good, we could watch wrestling. So thank you.
Right, absolutely. I remember living in South Carolina and when I worked for Randy Savage in Lexington, Kentucky. I bought me a big antenna so I could pick up his wrestling because I wanted to see me on his TV show. And I enjoyed my time up there and got to be good friends with Randy. We was the same age, and I was telling him about some workers I had, and I told him about George Gray, One Man Gang, and he said, bring him up. I'd like to look at him. So my next trip up, I carried George, and he never come back. Randy talked him into staying. He went from there to Bill Watts, and then met his wife and got married and lives in Louisiana now. But he growed up here around me, and I met him at the wrestling school I went to. And one reason we hit it off, and not to say nothing bad, a lot of the guys didn't know what they was doing. But, when you get some good workers in there, and you can tell the difference between the guys that know what they're doing and the guys that don't. So, I never thought I'd be doing it this long, but I can't.
Did you ever wrestle Randy Savage?
Yes, I did. Got to post a picture on my page right now, me and Randy.
Oh, cool.
There's a TV show with me against Randy, but I've never found it. I found me and Pez Watley and a couple of more guys. But, yeah, I spent a lot of time with Ernie Ladd, Randy Savage, Pez Watley, Rip Rogers, Bob Orton, Ronnie Garvin. I mean, guys that, I was growed up watching. So I was kind of in hog heaven when I got up there. And I didn't realize the road mileage was so bad because we'd wrestle one night in Memphis, and the next night would be in Johnson City, and that's all the way across Tennessee. And, you work one night and go ahead and get on the road, and you get to the next show just in time to wrestle again. And that was my first experience of wrestling every day and twice some days. And my wife didn't like me doing it, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, as you mentioned that, well, and the three of us, we kind of grinned when you mentioned Rip Rogers because we had him on the show, and there's zero filter with him, number one, but which is hilarious. But the thing he mentioned too, as you mentioned the travel, we asked him about that too back in the territory days. He said he slept under a sink in a hotel bathroom once because there was 11 guys in one room. It was so packed.
I have done that. I understand. I remember in Tennessee, they was like, we was in a van, there was 6 of us, and there was no room left in the room. So I slept in a van, and that was easier than piling in the room. But, as long as you had a shower and everybody was with you and everything worked out. Saving money,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot different than what it is today.
Oh, yeah. Golly, the cost of travel now is just ridiculous. I try to keep my mileage down. I turn down a lot of shows so I can do my own. In South Carolina, we got athletic commission, so you have to be at your own shows if you run a show. So I took a partner on now just so I could get out and do some more stuff on Saturday night. So,
yeah, Mr. Eagle, we had quite a few people on the show. We were blessed and thankful to them, and one was Mr. Gene Ligon, and I've talked to him. He's trying to get us Mr. George South to come on the show, but he said he's quite the busy guy.
Yeah, Gene introduced me to my first wife, so I've had 3 wives. She was a worker, Lisa Darnell. She worked for Moolah, and he introduced me to her at a show, and I stayed married to her for 10 years. And so basically, when we split up, that was her end of wrestling, but she was a pretty little blonde that wrestled, and I always thank Gene for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, I like to see you get George South on. He'd talk your ears off.
Now he also influenced the start of your career as well, correct? If I have that accurate.
Well, it says on Wikipedia that he trained me, but that wasn't true. I basically I met him. He was working out at a boxing gym, and I talked to some promoters about George. I said he don't want no pay. He just wants to meet you guys. If you'll let me bring him down and work him, it'd be wonderful. And they'd say, "Oh yeah, we like it." So I'd take him down and work him. We'd work the first or second match, and then they'd have us back in the main event the next month. And that was something. George has done great. He was not to say nothing mean, but he was always more marked than I was. You know, he's a mark for the old Mid Atlantic wrestlers. I mean, I grew up watching them, and I had my two or three picks, but Wahoo was the main one. You know, I love traveling with him. I tell you, we eating a lot of Shawnees and Huddle Houses. But Wahoo paid for nothing. Everybody knew Wahoo. I got to eat free when I travel with Wahoo, so nobody knew me, but he could just walk right in the door and they was all over him. Actually, I got him out of jail one time for driving over a curb instead of out the driveway at a bar after the show. And he wired somebody to send me the money, and I went to get him out of jail. And it took me 30 minutes to get him out of the courthouse because the judges and the police was all getting his autograph, but wasn't good enough to let him go. But yeah, he was character, man. I loved him.
Yeah, that's great. We like to get a lot of people on this show. So, but we're almost at a year, and we're on YouTube, Spotify, Twitter, and right here on Facebook. And we appreciate everybody that comes on the show and gives us some time and also to watch it. So I would greatly appreciate you, Mr. Eagle.
Hey, I appreciate it. I don't know why I've got hot of doing a lot of podcasts here lately, and you know, I'd never done anything till I got into wrestling. But yeah, I did one. I want to tell you the name of the group out of New York, but I can't remember the name of the group. But they had me on. They said they had 8,900 watchers when I was on. So
Very cool.
Yeah, but they said they was on FM also besides online. So
I gotcha. Yeah.
We're all
not
over
quite
the
on the
country
radio
and world,
waves
right,
yet, but,
guys?
you know. What's that, Chris?
We're all over the country and world, right, guys?
Hey, we're trying. We're trying to blow up. You know what I mean? And when we have guests like Chief Jay Eagle, man, we appreciate it so much, Mr. Eagle. And again, I want to reiterate that APW runs shows every Saturday for the most part. Check out their Facebook page. It's American Pro Wrestling on Facebook.
Right.
Mr. Jay Eagle is the promoter and owner of that. And they run some great shows every on a weekly basis there in South Carolina. Chief, we thank you so much for your time today, for talking some classic wrestling, some current wrestling, and of course talking about your product. We enjoy it, and we would love to have you back again sometime down the road, sir.
Sounds great, guys. Thank you for having me on. I would offer you a sausage biscuit, but I don't know how to do it.
Oh man, I wish if we were close enough, I'd be on the way.
I'd have to mail it to you. You know.
Hey, I'll still eat it. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, thank you again, guys.
Thank
All
you
right,
very
thank
much,
you.
sir. Have a great one. All right, Mr. Jay Eagle, the Chief Jay Eagle, joining us here on Falls Count Anywhere. We want to thank him again for his time. And guys, good stuff there as we learned a little bit about Wahoo McDaniel and some of the travels they went through back in the day. We love hearing about that stuff because those
The
guys really
classic
grinded it out.
stories. Yeah, can't beat it.
Yeah, man, those guys grinded it out, man. Can you imagine? You add 8 more guys to us, and we all cram into like the Bido Paris over there on Niagara Falls Boulevard, waiting for the next wrestling show the next night, right? Can you imagine that? I mean, come on.
No. Oh my God. Yeah.
Back, neck cramped.
Oh man. Yeah, right. I mean, you guys, they're not sleeping in like a California king. You know what I mean? So, yeah, very good stuff. So again, thank you to Chief Jay Eagle. We're gonna take a quick break here on Falls Count Anywhere podcast. On the other end of the break, we got the archives of Mr. DiCarlo here. We're going to bust that open. We got some classic footage, of course, as always, and some more to talk about as well. So we'll be right back.
at Letchworth State Park is truly spectacular. Everyone should have the opportunity to enjoy this wonder of nature. The Autism Nature Trail at Letchworth will provide ADA-compliant accessibility and allow those with autism, as well as visitors of all ages and abilities, to push boundaries, explore new activities, and develop skills. Go to autismnaturetrails.com to learn more, and please help support this important project.
Well, thank you to our sponsors, and I would like to also thank you, the viewers, for watching Gorillas Inc. and, of course, Falls Count Anywhere. Now back to our hosts, Charlie Turner and Krista Carlo.
Thank you, John. Nickel City Nails, man. So if you guys need to get your nails done, there you go. I know you guys are into that.
Yeah.
Hey, it's 2022. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Right. That's true.
But again, thank you to all of our sponsors, as always. We appreciate it. And, guys, I wanted to just, before we transition into the latter part of the show here, I want to talk about a couple of current things going on in wrestling. There's been two major injuries in the world of wrestling that have definitely made an impact here. As we know, CM Punk just won the AEW championship from Hangman Page at their last pay-per-view, Double or Nothing. Within a week, 2 weeks? Within a week, he had to announce, unfortunately, he has a major injury that's going to require, I believe it requires surgery. He said he has a broken bone somewhere. He didn't really get into too many details, but it sounds like CM Punk is going to be on the shelf for a little bit. The cool thing about AEW, and guys, your opinion on this, is that they, instead of just vacating the title, what they do is they do like an interim champion. And as of now, John Moxley was the number one contender. They had a battle royal and then a match to determine who was going to go on to Forbidden Door to wrestle for the AEW championship. It ends up being Moxley. Do you guys like the instead of vacating the title, do you guys like that they're doing the interim champion, and then when Punk comes back, those two will clash and then determine an undisputed champion, I suppose?
I do. Yeah. As a fan, I'll tell you, that's really a cool idea, because then I can't wait now for Punk to come back and to take on whoever wins. I like it a lot.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Very innovative, and I definitely like that better than vacating it. Then you got to have a battle royal or a tournament, and then you're going to have Punk probably come back and say, well, hey, I was never defeated, so this is a great idea.
Right, which is kind of like the ongoing storyline with WWE. Whenever somebody has to give it up due to injury, that's what they'll say, like, well, I'm not he's not he never pinned me, he's not the real champion. So this kind of gets ahead of that. So now you have somebody that's going to win it when Punk's not there. And then, the interesting element to that, though, is there going to be two title belts. I mean, I would assume there would be a belt in the interim here while whoever wins it, holds on to it. And then you got two belts when they clash for one belt. So
it's almost kind of brilliant in a way, right? I mean, because now the waiting for Punk to come back is going to be even a bigger deal than it is just normally because of the star he is. But I like it. Great.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's very cool. Now, the other major injury in the world of wrestling is Cody Rhodes. And it's so ironic. I mean, CM Punk shows up to AEW, tries to turn the product around. Cody Rhodes gets out of AEW, goes to WWE in this giant shift that causes all these waves on the internet. And now both guys are on the shelf. If you didn't see Hell in a Cell, the match with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, incredible match for what Cody Rhodes was able to pull off with a torn pec. He basically wrestled with one arm. and in a Hell in a Cell besides, where these guys got to take some shots into the cage, and there's weapons involved there. Of course they protect each other in the ring. Let's be honest here, we know that, but what an awesome job to put on an amazing match, and he ended up winning. So I thought it was really cool, but man, his pec was just like completely purple, and it ran all the way down his arm. It was a freak looking injury, and they're saying now he's going to be out for 9 months. Similar injury to what John Cena went through years ago when he was full time. He suffered the same fate, but he was back within like 4 or 5 months. He ended up showing up at the Royal Rumble. I don't know if you remember his big return at MSG. He was number 30. Nobody expected it. He was way ahead of schedule. Then again, that was John Cena. The guy's part machine. I think he's just unbelievable. But hopefully they're talking 9 months. So that's like pushing that out to March of next year.
Wow.
Hopefully by the Royal Rumble, maybe he can get a little ahead of schedule, Cody, and come back and make a Royal Rumble appearance. I would assume hopefully he'll be back for WrestleMania, but it sucks because the plan was, according to the dirt sheets and all that stuff, was that Roman Reigns is kind of taking a step back over the summer a little bit, scaling back his schedule a little bit, and Cody Rhodes is going to be elevated to like the top babyface and take over that mantle. Now it's just got taken away from him with the injury.
Yeah, well, we all know anything can happen, and that's a serious situation. And to me, wow, that was sickening. But got to give him a lot of credit for going through that match and then showing up on Raw and getting attacked again.
Yeah,
And, remember, you guys?
Yeah.
Remember Triple H had torn his quad and was in a tag match with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he actually finished the match, and then they stretchered him out. So, I mean, you got to give these guys a lot of credit.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, they put their bodies on the line, man. They really do. And anybody, I'll always defend it as, look, it's scripted, but it's not fake. I mean, these guys, none of us could go walk into the ring right now and put on even a 5-minute match without being exhausted, 2 injured, and 3 not being able to do like even a third of the shit that those guys can do in the ring. I mean, come on, so. Yeah, props to those guys. Speedy recovery, hopefully for both, and hopefully we see them back sooner than later. Because those are just 2 shitty timing injuries there, right before SummerSlam coming up in WWE and whatnot. But yeah, that sucks. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on in the current world of wrestling. I also want to give a quick shout out to our friends at the AWA Unleashed podcast. I just want to give them a quick shout out as they're doing their first live show today. And if you're in the Minneapolis area, Stillwater, Minnesota, I should say, at the Lift Bridge Brewery, I believe they kind of tweaked where they're doing the live show due to rain. Anyway, go on the website, AWA Unleashed Podcast on Facebook or even Twitter for that matter, and you can get the updates on that. But shout out to those guys as they do their first show. And, we just want to show them some love because, they've all been on our show and we appreciate those guys. So shout out to them.
Definitely.
And the other thing I wanted to mention too, guys, of course, we want to keep doing this kind of new to our show is This Week in Pro Wrestling History real quick here. This Week in Pro Wrestling History back in 1994 was the first ever WWE or WWF Hall of Fame ceremony that took place. But of course, as we know, 1993 was the first ever inductee, Andre the Giant, the first ever inductee into the WWF/WWE Hall of Fame. I thought that was kind of a cool note there. And also on this date back in 2002, actually June 10th, 2002, Stone Cold Steve Austin walked out of WWE. He was scheduled to wrestle a match with Brock Lesnar in a random qualifying King of the Ring match that was supposed to put Brock Lesnar over. And Stone Cold said, look, there's no build up to this. There's no storyline. There's no, why are we just randomly doing this as a qualifying match for King of the Ring? This deserves to be a pay-per-view. I think a lot of fans agreed with Austin at the time. Like that was just stupid booking, and I think Austin made the right move there.
Yeah, well, and I also think though, from looking at it from a classic Stone Cold point of view, he probably didn't want to put him over. So
right, because you figure too, 2002, Lesnar was only a year into the business or 2 years into the business. Yeah, that's a good point.
And it always felt to me that and I don't know anything, but just as a fan, it always felt like he didn't take it seriously. He'd always leave, do whatever he's going to do with UFC, stay away for a while, and then, you know what I mean? Just come and going as he pleases. And I always thought to myself, I don't know if he should be like that. I don't know if he's that. You know what I mean? It's not a legend
Yeah.
of anything. He's not done anything, but yeah.
Yeah, I think now he's achieved that legend status,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
look, if Vince is going to shell out the dough and comes up to you and say, "Hey, we'll give you this much money to work 12 dates this year,"
Why not?
smart businessman, right?
Yeah.
But early Brock Lesnar compared to current Brock Lesnar, early Brock Lesnar at least, seemed like he was maybe beatable, where they made him just absolutely invincible over the last 5 years, up until he ran into Roman Reigns, which is Vince McMahon's golden boy, which we could get into that some other time. But yeah. So yeah, just wanted to kind of throw out those little tidbits as far as wrestling history is concerned. And we're
Very
going
good.
to
Now, very good, Charlie. You're all right on that. And now it's time to laugh with our good buddy, the Iron Sheik, right?
Absolutely. We got to check in with the Iron Sheik on the John, if you could fire it up there, the Sheik tweets. He had some interesting takes. Now, at the inflation, I'm with that. I think we're all with that. The inflation sucks in this country right now. The gas prices suck in this country right now.
Yes.
I'm with the Sheik 100%. I'm sure you guys are, right? Fuck the inflation.
Yes, that's great.
It's too much. Yeah. It's I'll tell you, I'm not going to get political, but I'll tell you this. It's like the biggest tax increase of our lifetime. I've never seen anything like it.
It's crazy. It sucks.
It is.
Yep.
All right, let's see what else the Sheik has for us.
Well, then the Sheik is saying, hey, sorry to bother you, but let me know when you're available to go F yourself in charming Sheik fashion there. I don't know what prompts him to say, like, look, and whoever is like running his social media account, I wonder if he, does he just have like random thoughts out loud, and the social media guy is just like, oh, you know what? I'll tweet that.
I bet you he does, because listening to him on Stern, he really that sounds just like Howard Stern's, when he was there. So I bet you he does just have thoughts, and they got to be great. They are great. You see them.
They are great. It's funny.
He would go off on
I look
rants.
forward to it every week.
Yeah.
Love it.
He would go off on rants on Howard Stern's show, man. That stuff was classic.
Yeah, check that out. All right, let me see. We got more.
We got more.
This one I found hilarious because the Dream Team popped up here. We got Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson. Greatest team ever assembled. The Dream Team back in 1992, the greatest team ever. And then Bravada here is asking, name a better trio, right? How can you name a better trio than these three guys? Bird,
Right.
Magic, and MJ.
Yeah. Really?
But the Sheik had an answer, and that answer was Hulk Hogan, my boot, and his ass. So
Yeah.
the Sheik, listen, without fail, on a weekly basis, he's going to mention Hulk Hogan and how much he despises that no good yellow jabroni, quote unquote, from the Sheik there.
Well, we know why, right, John? We showed a clip last week.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, last week. You saw it. I felt bad for the Sheik a little. We always say, I know we've said this before, he deserved better, maybe.
Yeah,
a little longer as champion.
Yeah. Yes, because he only held it for what, a month or two
Yeah.
back in '84, after he defeated Backlund, and then Hulkamania took off and it was all over. And the Sheik, at least he hasn't been bitter ever since, right?
Yeah, but how about that classic Sheik I shared with you on Facebook there, John, and everybody loves that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Mid-Atlantic and the Canadian heavyweight champion. That was classic Iron Sheik, or then Hussein the Great Arab.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mustache and the boots are the first thing you recognize from the Sheik there, from the Sheikster.
Yep.
Very cool. So thank you, Sheik, again for some content for us, if you will, because we always find the Sheik entertaining. But guys, we're gonna open up the old vault here, Chris.
Yep, as we do each and every week. These clips and footage are from my personal collection. I do not sell that to nobody. We just clip it and show it on our show each and every week. And John, let's roll it. Our first clip should be of our guest that we had on today, Mr. Jay Eagle.
Let me say something real quick to you guys, Chris and Charlie and out there. WWE continually, every week, tries to hit us for copyright.
Yeah.
Continually. And every week it takes a little bit, and then they take it, YouTube says no. But it's funny how every week.
I have to see my disclaimer every week. That's why, it's my personal collection and it's my footage, and I don't sell it out there. I don't sell it to nobody. It's my
No.
personal collection, and that's my right. This is our right to do
It
it.
just shows you what I mean, come on.
Well, if you guys got to go to court, I'm going to Canada. I'm fleeing the country, man. You know, I'm not getting in trouble for this shit. I'm kidding. No, they blacked out the Jack Lord interview on YouTube. It says it violates WWE content or copyright
Yeah.
infringement. But I don't know. I mean,
They got their own show. That's where he came from. I mean, and he was a wrestler,
Makes no
so
sense.
it makes no sense.
I'll call Vince after the show
Please.
and talk to him about that. No problem.
Yeah.
Off to Jay Eagle now. Hold
Off
on. Here we
to
go.
our guest, Chief Jay Eagle. Roll it.
There we are.
Here we are.
Not sure.
He probably would appreciate this footage. I guess I should have mentioned it, but a lot of footage of his early
Yeah, look,
career here.
it looks like that's. Oh, geez.
With the headdress
Here we are.
there. Look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, those are beautiful. Those are incredible. I wonder how heavy that's got to be. You know,
Yeah, damn, that was a good question for him.
because I would assume that's
Heavy as
got to
leather,
be
I guess,
something.
man.
Yeah. You know, sadly, we won't have this. I mean, we can't have that anymore.
Yeah, here we go. Definitely classic
Well, the
here
butt
of
off is still
Chief
there.
Jay Eagle. Here he is with the partner against the dreaded assassins, John.
Love the Assassins. I
The
love
size
that. I
of
like.
those guys.
Yeah, look at them.
Yeah. Classic tag team indeed.
Yeah, they are huge. They're not in great shape. Oh, this must be like a what? A
Oh, that was a lumberjack tag team
lumberjack.
match.
Yeah, yeah.
And here, as we getting into his career, we see there Manny Fernandez taking on our friend Chief Jay Eagle.
Yeah, look at this. This is great. Then he has this thing coming up. You'll see that. Well, I'll wait till it comes on. It's unreal with Greg Valentine.
Yeah, here he is too. With had to throw this clip in, tagging with Wahoo against the Russians here.
Yeah, look at where they're at. That'd be incredible to be there, wherever this gymnasium is.
And then here we go, John. As you mentioned, they had a little feud there, dog collar match against Greg the Hammer.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yes, that's great. Look at the dog. Yeah, wasn't that like a Texas strap match too? They'd call it sometimes or something weird.
Yeah, Indian strap match,
Yeah.
The dog collar match, the chain match. That's what we love about classic wrestling, right? Can't get that much of that today.
No, you know, the in the Native American wrestlers, you know, I think the last one we've really, I mean, Tatanka was there around the 90s. You really don't see a lot of like the Native American, you know, like the headdress and you know what, you know, the I don't want to say get up because I don't want to be disrespectful, but you know, like they're the way they present themselves while coming to the ring, you really don't see much of that anymore.
No, you don't see that much of anything anymore. Like we were talking, you know, Russian tag team, the Japanese tag team, all those different wrestlers are just gone, and it probably would be good today. But
well, that's why, you know, with AEW doing the Forbidden Door show with Japan, you know, hopefully that brings Japan back into the mix a little bit here. I know at one point WWE wanted to work with New Japan Pro Wrestling. That fell through at some point last year, but the effort was there, I guess. So maybe we'll see more of that. We'll see.
Yeah. But John, here we got another classic clip of the one and only Mr. Bob Remos, aka Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah, here he comes. Look at that.
Here he comes, the classic Slaughter WWF intro, if you will. Charlie, the camouflage limousine.
Look at that, yeah.
Coming into the garage there of the Allentown, PA arena field house.
Wonder if that limousine exists, or like, you know, anywhere.
I know that's a good question. Maybe it's Slaughter's house. Maybe, I don't know, or Vince's house.
Awesome.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What year is this again?
This was 83.
Oh, is that the Grand Wizard? Who is that guy? Who just got out of the?
Yeah. Look at that, the medals on the Wizard.
Yeah, yeah, perfect heart.
Great, what a great manager for the Slaughter. Perfect manager for the Sarge here, definitely.
Yeah, and the guy here, the limo driver,
Slaughter's putting him to work.
Yeah, there's some scratches on the car, and I guess on his wrestling boots too.
Yeah, then may shine out my boot before I step in the ring here.
Good Lord.
Classic Slaughter.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Good guy, bad guy. I don't know what I think. You know what I mean? He's just good at everything, Slaughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, more so of a heel throughout his career, but also a good guy under and with the GI Joe and the AWA.
I was gonna say that Joe stuff. Absolutely, man. That made him a
Yeah.
babyface right there.
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
me as a kid, I was so into GI Joe when that crossed over. Holy cow!
Yes.
yeah, definitely one of my favorites, heel or face. Hopefully we can have him on the show here down the road. That'd be great.
Yeah, it would. That'd be unbelievable.
The Sarge, the one and only.
The one and only Sergeant Slaughter.
And
All
then
right.
we have our last clip here of
Yep.
we've been talking about tag teams, right, Charlie? Remember we started with the Road Warriors. Here we go. Listen to Joe McHugh. Oh, Captain Lou, the Wild Samoans.
Oh yeah.
This is the end of 1999.
I bet with these guys there was no there wasn't much between kayfabe and reality. I mean, look at these guys.
Yeah, really. And they
You know,
stuck
I mean,
with
they're
it
scary no
forever.
matter where they're at. You guys worked with these guys at an office somewhere. Can you imagine them walking in?
Yeah, I mean, here are just some classic clips of the Samoans throughout different organizations. That was Mid-South. This is Georgia Championship Wrestling, 1982. They got the belts wherever they went, and we can see why.
Yeah.
Here,
Absolutely.
even in the AWA with their manager, John, Sir Oliver Humperdinck.
Yes, when Sir Oliver Humperdinck, I hadn't thought of him, seen him, and God, what a name. What a name.
Yeah.
Sir
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell? Remember there was a singer with the name Humperdinck or something.
Engelbert Humperdinck, yes.
Yeah, him. Yeah. Yeah. And Sir
I know,
Oliver.
just classic. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
classic gimmick within himself.
I know. Yeah, it's great. Oh, look at this guy here.
Yeah, they're
Good
going to
shape.
get a...
No,
Humperdinck,
he
he
didn't
was
get
the big reveal for the manager of Bam Bam Bigelow when he made his WWF debut.
Oh,
Yes,
all
yes,
right,
in
yeah.
1987. That was great. And a little Paul Orndorff, too, at the time.
Yep.
And there's Humperdinck. Yeah, look at him.
The road boss, Sir Oliver.
Oh God, look at this. Look at
Yeah.
these guys.
And then there we have the Tonga Kid with him, as he was known. And then here we are, I believe, our last clip of these guys with the IWA in 1990. And here, there he is, Kokina Maximus at ringside, a.k.a. Yokozuna.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
Oh, there you.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Not a lot of people know that, Chris. Yokozuna was not Japanese. He was Samoan.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, they tried that gimmick with Mr. Fuji as his manager, but it was great. Yeah, big.
Yeah, it worked.
talk about,
it worked. I always thought he
wrestling.
was Japanese.
We talk about wrestling dynasties and families. There's so many of Samoans, Von Erichs. We can go on and on. But Charlie,
that's
we
what I
have
was gonna say.
our.
Real quick, the point I was going to make on that, on top of that, was the Samoan wrestlers. I mean, you had the Wild Samoans, you had the Islanders at one point, and now you got the Bloodline, of course, with the Usos and Roman Reigns, and they really emphasize the Samoan bloodline. So I think that's pretty cool.
And that's interesting, right? Because they do that, but there's some other ones we were just talking about Native Americans,
Right?
like, you know what it's weird. It's interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have different cultures and backgrounds. You know, it's
Yeah.
they kind of come and go. I mean, but you know, the Samoan wrestlers have been there, and
Mhm.
again, the Native American wrestlers as well. So yeah, very cool.
Very cool.
And now, Charlie, take it away.
What do we got here? We got our enhancement talent of the week. We're gonna roll into here, guys. We got Mr. Bert Centeno. A lot of these guys. Listen, when I look them up, I don't even know some of these guys. But when we pull them out of the archives here, as you can see here, Bert did wrestle a Monday Night Raw match. I know he did face the Undertaker at one point. And of course, as we continue to give these guys a little bit of a profile here, he hails out of San Juan, Puerto Rico, as our former guest or a guest we had on, Jose Luis Rivera, also hails from Puerto Rico. So another Puerto Rican wrestler, very cool. As far as I know, still going strong. It was a lot, again, as you can see here, and this is ProFightDB.com, ProFightDatabase.com. It had a lot of unknowns here, but he did wrestle a total of 36 matches. And again, he in the early days of Raw, you would still have those types of matches where you'd bring out the enhancement talent plus the marquee name. And Bert was one of those guys, so he had some appearances there on Monday Night Raw. So props to Bert Centeno. There's probably some Spanish flair to that pronouncing. But yeah, props to him for putting in the grunt work.
Yeah, definitely. Just like John's, you seen last week, Charlie. John's on a mission to get the silent one, Brian McMee, on the show.
Yeah, he's still. From what I know, he's still okay. He's alive. Like I said, the silent part is real. He's deaf and can't talk.
Yeah,
So
that's right. You did mention that. Yeah,
he's truly, silent, and he wrestled in something. If you Google him, there was like a deaf wrestling promotion back in the, I don't even know, 70s, I guess 80. I don't know when the hell it was, but I got to find him. He's got to be right here. I mean, where we live, I right across the street, I can see Canada. So he's somewhere in there between Hamilton and Burlington. I'm gonna get him.
Which is kind of like in the backyard for us, right? In our neighborhood, almost. Right?
And I got the loose hat now, so I can go over there. I'll be welcomed and get him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real quick, we got to mention now. Let's think about that. I mean, no offense, but the silent one against Bundy, as we saw in the clip there. I mean, can you imagine?
I feel bad almost when I read. It's funny, and now I'm 51 years old, and I'm doing research to find the silent one. And when I read that he was really deaf and silent, I was like, oh, that changes everything.
Yeah.
Because, wow, he was able to do that stuff pretty high level. I mean, obviously, against high-level people, and good for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
And I'm sorry I used to make fun of him, I guess, as a kid.
Yeah, live and learn, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do that a lot. Yeah.
Well, you never know with pro wrestling, so.
That's true.
I know, yeah.
You don't know what
we love it and we respect it and we do our show.
Yeah, and like I said, sometimes you don't know the line between reality and whatnot. But because again, I'm still kind of confused in this whole MJF thing. MJF, and if you haven't seen it, YouTube it, whatever, Google it, and I'm sure anybody watching this has probably seen it, but he was dropping F-bombs on Tony Khan. He's like tempting him to fire him, and people were thinking, no, it's a work. Next thing you know, everything social media wise was stripped from MJF. Nothing affiliated with AEW and vice versa. They took him off the opening promo and all that for Dynamite, and like the opening montage there with Dynamite and Rampage and whatnot. They haven't talked about him on the last two shows, last night and Wednesday. I'm starting to think this is the real deal, because at first I was thinking, wow, if this is a work, this is fantastic, because they're kind of doing Austin McMahon again, but they're doing it with social media to where you see it, like John, you see it in the NFL, right? Kyler Murray wanted a new contract, so he completely wiped off everything Arizona Cardinals related. So I thought maybe this is what AEW was doing with MJF, like strip everything AEW from MJF's profile, make it look like it's the real deal here. Jake the Snake Roberts has come out recently and said that he was kind of pissed off with that promo, that he went that far to dropping the F-bombs. There's no place for that in pro wrestling. What do you guys think? Do you guys think this is the real deal, or this is just a work?
Go ahead, Chris.
I know. At first too, Charlie, I agree with you. I thought it was a work, and wow, a great way to build something up next for him.
Yeah.
But then, as you saw and I saw, he was stripped everywhere, and
no mention at all on the last two shows. Yeah.
I don't know what to think right now. We'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, because I'm thinking if that was a work, you would think on one of the shows over this past week, whether it was Dynamite or Rampage, that Tony Khan would have came out and kind of did something to the effect of, we don't condone this type of stuff.
Right.
To kind of keep it going, right? But
They just
there wasn't
dropped
even
it.
that.
That
So,
makes you wonder, I mean, that makes you wonder what's just dropped. Nothing. So
Right.
think about
put-
that. Yeah, that makes me feel like it was real, but
and it puts MJF in a tough spot because, if he's thinking, oh, I'll just go to WWE. I mean, look, they're as PG as PG gets, at
Yeah.
least AEW, their TV 14, they could get away with a little more. If he's thinking WWE is just going to cater to what he wants to do every time. And I guess he hasn't met Vince McMahon, right? So
they'll change him completely. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Vince caters also to USA Network since way back when too. So
right. You got to keep, they're publicly traded now, so they got to keep things relatively clean, So interesting to see how that's going to play out with MJF. And guys, you mentioned last week I was on assignment. I hate to disappoint the viewers or listeners. The assignment produced nothing, unfortunately. What I did was I was in Comic-Con, Niagara Falls Comic-Con, which is right across the border. We're in Niagara Falls, New York. Literally, once you cross the border, the Scotiabank Convention Center is literally like 2 minutes from the border on the other side. It was technically their 10-year anniversary, but it's been 13 years because everything was paused because of the pandemic. So I guess let me get to my point here. Was the assignment was to try to get to the three guys that were there were JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, Mick Foley, and Kevin Nash. And I was going to try to maybe, get to meet one of them. You got to pay for that sort of thing, which is fine sometimes, whatever. But the lines were ridiculous, number one, because this was the first show in 3 years that they did at the convention center there. So it was absolutely packed. I think people were just wanting to get out and get back to normal. And again, $60 was the cheapest for those guys. And I believe like $80 or $90 was the most. I think Nash was on the high end, JBL on the low end, and Mick Foley somewhere in the middle. And I just didn't have the energy to wait in line and go through all that. But if you do get the chance, they do that every year. And if you're in Canada, if you're near the border here on the New York side or wherever, they do put on a great show there at the Niagara Falls Comic-Con, and it's a lot of fun. They got a ton of vendors. I was able to get a vintage Ultimate Warrior glass.
Oh,
I'm a big fan of the Warrior. I should have had that ready for the show, but that's the old WWF style glasses from 1990. They were pretty cool, but so sorry guys, the assignment failed as far as producing any pictures or autographs from those guys.
yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
I'm a failure in the field.
It had to be crazy though. The first time after COVID, I mean, everyone.
Yeah.
And first time getting across the bridge, even for some of us. I mean, it was so hard, right? Not too long ago, so that's good.
Yeah, and they almost didn't let us over. On a side note, if anybody's traveling to Canada, there's like an application you're expected to fill out. Fortunately, they let us through. We were fully vaxxed, so they let us through, and they were cool with it because we weren't staying overnight. But they were ready to send us back because we had to fill out some sort of American application to verify that you've been vaccinated and blah 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 blah. We didn't do that. We didn't know about it, and they still let us through. So thank you, Canada, for letting us have fun there.
And
good stuff.
Before we end here, as we do each and every week, John, a quick update, a shout out to our friend Elena DiPaolo.
Yes, let me find her thing here real quick. I'd like to bring it up. Yes, Elena DiPaolo. She is a good friend of ours here in our local area. Real quick, 30-year-old mother, beat leukemia. Within beating leukemia, she then ends up with kidney failure. It got to the point where now she needs a living donor. She didn't want to go on dialysis, but she's on dialysis now. We need a donor. If you're out there, you think you can be, 716-898-5001. Give that a call. They'll send you a packet in the mail. All you got to do is fill out a questionnaire. They'll let you know if you could be a donor anywhere in this world. Please, if you feel like you can do that, come on in and do it. If you feel like you can't, or you can't, you'll see these kinds of things on our sites, on Gorillas Inc., on all of our show sites. Try to share it if you can, please. Share it everywhere, all across all different social medias. We need to get Elena a a donor as soon as we can.
You guys hearing a test pattern sound here?
Yeah, sorry. My mother's in the background.
Oh, no. All right, I'm sorry. I thought that
I'm
was
sorry.
No, you know what that was? That was an Amber Alert.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I don't know what's
yeah, it just
going
came
on.
up.
Sorry about that.
no, that's just you can't help it. It's just
Hey,
everywhere.
Wait. Let's might as well use our social media
Yeah.
influence here as much as we can. There was well, I just deleted the damn thing, but there was an Amber Alert that just went out here. Looks
Yeah.
like in the area, of course. Jeez, wow, that thing disappeared quick. I tried to read it.
There was something I know in our area where I just read it online before we came on, and I'm talking like really close to us, where someone abducted a 10-month-old, and I have a feeling
Yes.
this might be.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
out in Lockport. Yeah,
Yeah.
jeez, my God, crazy world we're living in, guys. So actually, yeah, actually glad we got the Amber Alert
Yeah.
on the show. Not glad that it happened, my God, but the fact that it kind of just blasted here and hopefully it gets some extra attention. If anybody watching this hears that, there was an Amber Alert that went out. So, yikes, my goodness. Anyway, but this world we're living in, guys, 2022, right? Jeez.
Just terrible.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know. I don't know where I am sometimes. You know, you think back, this is a different world.
I think the
Let's
Sheik's
go
got
back
the right
to the
idea.
80s.
Well, the Sheik's got the right idea. Let's start breaking some backs and making people humble, man. We need to come back to that era, like the 80s, right, Chris? Like you said, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're going to wrap up for this week. We want to thank you, each and every one of you that joins us for our show here and listens to us shoot shit about wrestling. And, again, thank you to Chief Jay Eagle for joining us on today's show. Guys, great show again as always. Oh, and going forward, guys, just to throw it out there, what we might start doing, maybe beginning next month or somewhere down the future, we might base our shows. We might hone in on just one particular legend or wrestler or tag team or whatever the case, and base our classic clips on that going forward. If you have any opinions on that, throw them in the comments section. You know, do you like how we're doing it with the random clips, or would you rather we focus on just one guy? I'm thinking, maybe feature a tag team 1 week. Demolition, for example. We could just talk about them for 20 minutes because they had an unbelievable career. Just an example, and we could just kind of show clips on that. Anyway, just an idea we threw out there. If you guys have any feedback on that, we'd love to hear it. But thank you to everyone that took the time or takes the time to watch our show. And guys, until next week, right? You guys are going to be. I'm sorry, I'm a week ahead of myself here. You guys are going to be running the show on the 25th, but next week again we'll be back at full strength. So we look forward to seeing you guys again. And again, thank you so much for joining us here on the Falls Count Anywhere podcast. Have a great one, guys.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.